Hey, what's going on, team? It's Ricky with TechBet Solutions. I hope that you guys are all having an amazing Sunday. Today is November 26th. Market is open tomorrow right at market open. And let's go ahead and talk about the top 5 stocks that our group members see value in. So one of the things that I quickly want to bring up, you could literally look it up yourself. It's called NASDAQ Futures. Pretty much gives you a sense of direction of where the market currently is at. For those that are unaware, the stock market is not open, but NASDAQ Futures are. So again, market moves based off of where these futures are. So if we see that these futures are at, they're down 0.46%, what that means is if the stock market were to be open right now, the stock market NASDAQ would be down 0.46%. That means that SQQQ, which is the inverse ETF that's triple leverage, would be up 3 times that. So it would be up roughly 1.5%. And TQQQ would be down roughly 1.5%. So overall NASDAQ market is slightly in the red. I do want to remind you that just because the NASDAQ futures are down right now, it does not mean that by the time the market opens, literally almost 12 hours from now, 11 hours and 30 minutes, that the market is going to be just as down. It could be more, it could be less. It's all depending on where those futures are by the time the market opens. Just thought it'd be interesting for you to be aware of that. When looking at the schedule for the Federal Reserve, I want to make sure that you guys are aware of this and that you guys have access to this yourself. You can see that the federalreserve.gov/newsletter, this is on their calendar. Starting tomorrow on the 27th, there's no meetings that are too significant that are popping up. On Tuesday, we have the vice chair going to be speaking at 1:05 p.m. I don't see Jerome Powell speaking on any of this or any of this during this week. So let me go ahead and double check. Oh, I'm sorry. Friday, and that's going to be December 1st. He's going to be speaking at 11 a.m. So I'm really glad that I looked at the start of the next month, which is this upcoming Friday. Can you guys believe it? The month of November is already over. So I hope you guys all had an amazing Thanksgiving. Hopefully you spent it with those that you ended up or those that you love and or value, right? So this upcoming week, I'm just excited that the market, we get 5 trading days. I don't know if it's just me, right? You guys let me know down in the comments section that you now look forward to Mondays, which is something that you probably never looked forward to before, and it's because the market is open on Monday. So let me know down in the live chat and or in the comments section if you're not tuning on in live. But let's go ahead and start breaking down the top 5 stocks that our group members see value in. All you literally need to do is drop a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and share your top stock in that live chat, and I would be more than happy to break it down for you. I also do want to remind you, we are extending our Black Friday, as many of you guys know. This Friday, we started our Black Friday sale for LPP, so if you want to be able to watch me trade live every day, it's 50% off. So we've never offered anything this big. It's the biggest discount. There will never be anything that is 50% off. So if you want to sign up for the biggest discount that we'll ever offer, it's a one-time payment, lifetime access. You'll get to watch me trade live every single day. And it's the second link in the description down below. It should be valid. If you have any questions, either having trouble signing up or anything like that, shoot me a direct message either via Instagram or via Discord. And that's the first or third link in the description down below. So let's go ahead and jump right to it. So I see a handful of people already sharing their top stock. So again, if you want me to break down your stock, share it in that live chat. And yes, you do have to be subscribed to the YouTube channel to partake in that live chat. So let me go ahead and look it up. I see a handful of people already asking for AMD. So one thing that we have to take into consideration is that if the market does begin to pull on back, it's going to drag the rest of the market down with it, right? So if we begin to see that the NASDAQ market is selling off, then we have to respect that because of this, really nice rally we saw for the past 3 weeks, that it is a possibility, right? Especially after losing the hype of what might be coming from the Federal Reserve, earning reports, all that good stuff. Now we're going into the end of the year. Are we going to have a Santa Claus rally, or are we going to begin to pull on back before the end of the year, right? No one knows exactly what's going to happen. This is why we want to wait for confirmation. As of right now, I would say that the market is literally trading sideways. We need to respect that we came from a really nice rally, right? We gapped up very quickly. It was one of the strongest rallies if not the strongest rally within the shortest period of time for 2023. So if you're like, hey, that this past 2 to 3 weeks have seemed very bullish, that's correct, right? Because in the past 2 weeks, the market gapped up a significant amount. But the past week itself, market's kind of been lacking continuous progress. We're still not selling off, but we're not necessarily, making aggressive higher highs as we were the first and second week. And that's kind of what I want to bring up, right? If we take a further step back and we can look at AMD, you can see that it has a previous resistance range around that 125 price point. So at the end of the day, right, no one knows exactly what's going to happen with this, but let me ask you a very simple question. Is this oversold or is it overbought based off of recent patterns? Now, patterns tend to repeat themselves. They don't always have to, but to me at least, this isn't a good deal, right? Looking at previous highs, looking at how much the market has pulled back before at 122, the upside potential versus the downside risk, the risk to reward ratios just don't make sense. The amount of money that I could possibly make versus the amount of money that I could potentially lose doesn't make sense. And because of that, I would just have to say that this is why I've been waiting for the market to pull on back. And this is why a lot of investors get very excited when the market does pull on back. People always, label the market pulling on back as a bad thing. But if you think about it, it's a time to really pick up these stocks at a better price, right? And that's the beautiful thing about being patient is when you see that it's lacking progress, when you see that it's approaching a previous resistance level, it's not that it has to pull on back, but that you respect the market enough that just in case it does, you allow it to do it. Then again, you at least save yourself to be able to get it at a better price. Now, if the market continues to show signs of continuous progress, then again, you can choose to make a decision then. Okay, now it's actually making progress. It's an active uptrend. I do want to take part of this. Then again, you can set up your plan according to that. But as of right now, if you're asking for my opinion is it's too overbought. Risk to reward ratios don't make sense. And I would prefer to wait for a pullback closer to the moving average or in a perfect world, closer to that $100 price point. But you let me know what you think. So overbought, I like that, Glenn. Let's go ahead and break down the next one. So can you look at ET tonight? So let me go ahead and break this one down. Ticker symbol ET. So this is energy transfer. You can see from previous highs. So again, I'm going to ask you, I want you to be able to answer this yourself. So if we look at this, I don't know what time frame you're looking at any of these stocks. This is why within the LPP, right, we have the lesson library. And I talk about this. Being able to look at different time frames gives you a different outlook, different perspective of how this stock is trading. So maybe on the 5-minute time frame, it looks pretty attractive because it's an active uptrend. But if I look at this on the 4-hour, it's very obvious to me that this thing is at a resistance range, right? And it's not that it can't make new highs, as anything can always happen, but that it has a pattern, it has a history of getting rejected at this level. So let me ask you that question again. Is this overbought, meaning overvalued, or is it oversold, meaning that it's at, it's a little bit more of a better deal, right? Is it overbought or oversold? Overbought or oversold? Overbought or oversold? Do you see that pattern? Where are we at right now? We're right around that $13 price point. I like that you're at least paying attention to companies that on this 4-hour time frame at least look like it's bullish. I can take a further step back and see, yep, very bullish, very consistent. I love this. And it looks like this is more of a stock that I would want to invest in rather than a stock that I would want to trade. And this is because it shows growth within over a long period of time. But even with this, right, it doesn't mean that I have to overpay. I can still respect previous patterns and understand that it's bound to pull on back based off of its history of these pullbacks, right? Even when it rallies, it still corrects itself. It rallies and then it still corrects itself. It rallies and it still corrects itself. So this is why I think it's very important to, again, it's great to have long-term plays, but to also understand, again, overbought and oversold levels. Is it overvalued based off of the bigger picture or oversold, meaning potentially undervalued? This is where you can really begin to find those deals or know when to hold back to allow the deal to present itself, right? Because at the end of the day, that's all we are. We're deal hunters, right? No one wants to overpay. So please make sure that you remind yourself that, unless you want to overpay. Can you break down VGT? So Vanguard fund. All right. Same setup here. We had a really nice rally, set and establish a previous resistance range of around 461. You can see that based off of our recent rally, this thing is going back to retest that previous resistance level. And if the market begins to pull on back, again, this having a focus on tech, there's no surprise that this thing will most likely correct itself back down to that $400 price point. So again, when asking the question, it's not that it cannot make new highs. Markets can continue to rally. No question about it. Markets tend to be more bullish than they are bearish. But is there a possibility that we're at a previous resistance that it could potentially pull on back? Does it have a history of pulling on back? Well, yes. So then let's not pretend like we can't see that, right? On the 4-hour, it's clear as day. We're at a previous resistance range of around 460. And if the market and NASDAQ begin to pull on back, then it's going to drag down this Vanguard tech fund with it. So let's make sure that we respect that. Now, if the markets continue to rise, you can choose to, again, make the decision then. But at these overbought levels, it's so overvalued that the risk to reward ratio doesn't even make sense. The analogy that I love to give my LPP traders, right? Because my LPP traders get to watch me trade live every day. And these are the open-ended conversations we have all the time during our live sessions. And the best real and humanized example I can give you about risk to reward ratios is, let's say at your day job, you make $20 to $30 an hour. I don't know what you make, but let's say that. Let's say $25 an hour, just to meet in the middle. $25 an hour, that is where, your company values you. Sure. $25 an hour, you work full time, great. Now, the way that I view this is when something is bullish but overbought, it's not that it can't make you money, right? So it's kind of like on the weekends. If you want to then work for $5 an hour, well, why not? Why not work for $5 an hour? You can make $5 an hour. Don't you value money, right? Well, yes, but you also value your time. So it's not that you don't value this direction or that this thing is bullish. It's that, well, you need to respect and also value the risk that comes with it, right? When it comes down to your job and working for $5 an hour, the risk is your time. When it comes down to this, the risk is the dollar amount that you could potentially lose versus what you could potentially gain. The risk does outweigh the potential reward, in my opinion. This is so overvalued that the reward does not outweigh the risk. Make sense? So I hope that way that can kind of give you a real world example where it's not that you can't make money, but that if you humanize it, it's just that the opportunity cost isn't worth it, right? If you work and get paid $25 an hour, why would you work for $5 an hour? It's no. Maybe if you find some side hustles that pay you 25, maybe 30, maybe 35 an hour, right? Those you can make sense of, but 5, to me, it's not worth the risk. It's not worth my time. Therefore, it's not worth to do it. Hope that makes sense. Let me know. Give me a thumbs up if it did. Tesla always do me dirty. I buy puts and it flies. I buy calls and it drops. I don't personally trade options myself, but that's just me. Wish you the best of luck with that. Let's look at Walmart. I would love to break down Walmart. We talked about this about a week ago, right? After it sold off. And let me ask you this. For all of our LPP traders, if we have some of you guys here, we talk about in the course about the 3 stages of a reversal, right, with an LPP. There's the rejection phase, there's the consolidation phase, and then there's the confirmation stage. Stage 1 is rejection, stage 2 is consolidation, stage 3 is confirmation, meaning an active uptrend. What stage, if I were to ask you, is Walmart in? Is it in the rejection phase, meaning is it still selling off? Is it in the consolidation phase, meaning that it's establishing a potential support level, or is it in the confirmation stage? It's actively recovering from that previous sell-off. What would you guys say? Let me know in that live chat. I want to see if you guys can see it. Right? There's no point of me just continuing to give my opinion if there's not any feedback from you guys to retain that information. In the rejection, we have 2 consolidations. Let's see. I would personally say, and again, maybe it's just me, but I would say that this one would fit a little bit more in the consolidation phase. And the reason I would say that it's not rejection is that because at least for the past 2 to 3 days, it has not made new lows, right? It's not really progressing much further on the downside. Right now, if this thing was like at 154 and it then goes to 153 and then 152, then that's still an active sell-off. There's progress being made on the downside, But we don't really have that right now, right? Where it still can sell off. So it's not that it can't. It's just that right now it's kind of beginning to establish its support. It supports right around 154 to 155, but it's definitely not recovering, right? It's not above EMA. It's not breaking above 157 and showing signs of progress of a recovery. Like if I look at this, it's not telling me, oh, wow, I'm missing out by not being invested in Walmart right now. No, not at all, right? I'm not missing out. I still don't know where this thing is going. Walmart doesn't know what it's doing, right? But if I set an alert at 157, I set my alert for the break above, and then I'm like, hey, maybe when this thing actually begins to recover and I begin to get some FOMO of like, hey, wait, this thing is actually beginning to recover, then I can revisit this, make a more informed decision then of like, hey, does this meet my criteria? Is direction in my favor? Do I want to size into it, dollar cost average into it, size down, and then average more dollar cost average into it as direction becomes more favorable? Yes, then at that point, it can begin to make more sense. But as of right now, because it's in the consolidation phase still, the textbook would say no. Like it would be wait for that confirmation, because how many of us have entered a position too early too many times? Raise your hand. I know I've done it. I still do it, right? Even years after trading. I mean, I'm human. I make mistakes. But the whole point is to try to, identify and acknowledge those mistakes and try to work on implementing and showing signs of progress, right? All right, let's go ahead and just do two more. So I see Roku has been asked for me to be breakdown. So is it Alvin? So we'd be happy to break it down for you. If you want me to break down another stock, again, all I literally ask you to do is to share it in the live chat. Maybe I'll do two more after Roku. How does that sound? Just give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel so I see your message in that live chat, and then share it in that live chat on what you would want me to break down. So I took a further step back because I wanted to see where the previous resistance range is at. And it looks like Roku's coming from a really strong rally and it's coming back to retest. Do you see why do you see why it's important to look at different time frames? Because on the 4 hour, I would just be looking at this and be like, oh my God, man, this thing is taking off. This thing is absolutely taking off. But then I'd be like, whoa, we've been rejected here before. And it's not that it has to get rejected, but that it has a history of a resistance at around $100, right? Rejected, boom. Rejected, boom. All the way back down to 57. Possible rejection. So why is it worth it to look back at history? Because it could possibly save you 50% of your account value. This is why, again, patterns tend to repeat themselves. They don't always have to. You look at different time frames to get different perspectives of the true direction of this stock. So therefore, you don't enter a hopeful position that looked really bullish, but if you simply would have taken a step back, it was clear as day that we're testing a previous resistance range, and the risk to reward ratio just wouldn't make sense, at least not for me. We all have different risk category and we all have different risk tolerance. So just because it doesn't make sense to me doesn't mean that it can't make sense to you. I'm just sharing with you on why I wouldn't buy Roku. And it's because it comes from a history of selling off and because it's approaching a previous resistance range where there's too many red flags of a potential resistance and rejection at this level. It's not worth the risk to me. And because of that, I move on. All right. American Airlines, would love to revisit this. I've been watching American Airlines. All of our LPP traders ask me about this almost on a weekly basis. There is no progress of higher highs being made yet. Do you see this? We would push up to nearly $13 and then it pulls on back. Nearly $13 and it pulls on back. It's still in that consolidation phase, and there's so much upside potential that I don't need to rush into this. My fear is, or the reason I'm not in this position yet, is because if this consolidates so much that it doesn't break above, it could break right back down below. And for me, I'm not in a rush to get into something like American Airlines. I want it to make sense. I want it to be an active uptrend, right? We're not here to chase opportunity. In a perfect world, we're here to wait for it to present itself. And that's essentially what I'm waiting for, waiting to happen. So Yanel is asking, hey, Ricky, I just want to say and take the time. I appreciate your time and the knowledge that you share. Thanks a lot, man. We do appreciate you. I've learned a lot from you. I just wanted you to know this. Thank you. I really do appreciate that. And, I'm happy to be here. And I will see you tomorrow at Market Open for that live session. So thank you for taking time out of your Sunday to join me for this quick little live stream as well. Do Nvidia. Oh, don't say that. What's it called? I broke down Nvidia in yesterday's video. So I think Nvidia is overvalued. Can we end it with that? What do you guys think? Is Nvidia overvalued? Is it overhyped up? It kind of reminds me of like when every company would try to integrate crypto when it first was like the new hype. And anytime any company said anything about integrating crypto, the stock itself took off. So that's all that I see happening with artificial intelligence. Now, is there more sustainability with artificial intelligence? It sounds like it, right? So grand scheme of things, Nvidia is the world leader, and we can't undermine that when it comes down to producing these AI chips. And AI is relatively very young in the grand scheme of things of what it can be. So I respect that. But this huge rally that we've seen in just the past couple of months is insane. So do I think a correction might be needed? I'm all here for it, right? So even if it corrects back down to $400 per share based off of recent patterns, I just think it's way overvalued, and its earnings, I think, is a huge red flag to me. And the last time that we've gotten these sell signals are right before a nice little pullback back down to the lower $400 price point. So I'm excited to follow up. I'm not in a rush to jump into something like Nvidia, especially not at that $500 price point. I just found the article to be very interesting over the weekend that I shared with you guys, where there were some analysts that were saying that Nvidia could go up to $1,100 for the price per share. Imagine that. That would be over a 100% ROI from our current price point. That's already seen a 400% return just in the past year. So very excited to follow up. Again, I do want to remind you, we're running our 50% off sale for LPP 2.0. It's a one-time payment, lifetime access. And if you enjoyed this live stream, it's most likely that you're going to enjoy my daily live trading sessions. I trade live every single day right at market open exclusively with our LPP team. And for the Black Friday and Cyber Monday sale, we're running a 50% off sale, right? Which means this is the biggest discount that we will ever offer. So if you've been waiting for a discount, if you've been wanting to join to watch me trade live, you get access to the A to Z video lesson library. You get access to our private LPP group chat. And yes, of course, you get access to our daily live session. So if you sign up by today, you can watch me trade live as soon as tomorrow and every day moving forward right at market open. Appreciate your time. I hope that earned a thumbs up. Please consider subscribing. I hope and wish you guys all an amazing November. I also do want to remind you that there are 8 days left for our BMW M4 giveaway. And if you guys haven't checked it out, now's the best time to enter. It's 20x entries. It's the 4th link in the description down below. And we're also doing an overlap week, which allows you to enter for both the BMW and the Tesla Model 3. So hope that you guys are excited for that. Excited to announce the winner. It ends on December 3rd. And remember, all it literally takes is one lucky entry. So I appreciate your time. Like always, let's make sure that we end the year on a green note. Take care.